work here. So funny. Okay, we're going to go and hit up on the 5 first. So the 5, this stands for our law of averages. So there's 3 points that you're in control of. The 5 steps of conversation. There's 6 impulse factors, and there's 8 habits that we've got to maintain to get really good in our business. So the first thing we'll go through is the conversation of an intro, short story, presentation, and close. And then consolidation. So I'm going to run through the basic structure of what they are, the psychology behind it, and then Dylan's going to go through the actual pitch for you so you can write that down, and then we're going to role play and practice that pitch. So what happens when we're using the conversation is we're affecting people's impulse. So impulse is excitement over time. So someone's level of excitement over time. And excitement can never remain the same. It's either going up or it's going down. So we have time across the bottom, and as time goes by, people are either getting more or less excited about what you're talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We measure the excitement on the side from 0 to 10. The average person needs to be like a 7 out of 10 on the excitement level in order for them to act or to change or to agree with what you're saying. So we're aiming to get people to a 7. And we go across here. So we're going to talk about attitude a lot. This is pretty important. Your level of excitement needs to be above a 7, or you can't get people excited with you. If you're a 5, then you have 0 chance of exciting people to a level 7. In fact, when you meet them, you'll start bringing them down. Does that make sense? This is why some of our sales team, if their attitude starts to drop, their results drop, because our goal is to meet people and get up. So with each section of the conversation, we have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Our goal is we're going to start here with a great attitude, so we have the best attitude possible. When we meet people, each person's going to be around a 5. Our goal in the introduction is to engage a conversation and increase the impulse. So when we engage with people, there's a couple of things we're going to make sure we do in this section. We use something called the C factors. So the C factors stand for smile, excitement, and eye contact. And what we're looking to do in the very first part of the introduction is just really let them know who we are. But more importantly, it's to remove any fear they have of our approach. So a lot of people are like very concerned, are you friendly, are you trustworthy, what's this guy about? So in the very first point of meeting someone, I got to look them directly in the eye, and that shows I have confidence. And then if I smile, it shows I'm not a threat. Does that make sense? And then I start to show my excitement. Hey, how are you? Look, it's nothing serious. And I raise their level of trust. So I'm going to start heading down the meter, but straight away their impulse is starting to go up because they're excited. One, that they trust. Show them that I'm a friend. And they can feel the excitement. It's as simple as that. If you fail the impulse factor there, if you fail to smile and hold eye contact, it's going to make it very difficult to pitch that person. Very difficult to talk to that person. And that's the same whether you're meeting someone in a coffee shop, if you was talking to someone in a bar, if you met someone in the street, you're asking them for a cigarette lighter. Anytime you engage a conversation, the intro needs to be perfect. That make sense? Same when you're speaking to your partner, your parents, it should always be done with eye contact and smiling. Okay, the next part of the short story, what we're going to do here is before I can start making a presentation, which is me trying to implant my thoughts into someone else, I got to make sure that I've killed off all the questions in their brain. So when I meet someone and I've gone, hey, how are you, don't want something serious, immediately there's a few questions that spring to mind. The person has a couple of questions. Until they're answered, they don't listen to a word you say. It's like whenever you've been talking with your friends and your friend tries to tell you a joke, but you've got your own joke comes up. You just stop listening. You're like, just get to the end, bro. Listen to my joke. You want to get that off your quest. So what happens is if you don't get the short story correct and you haven't hit the questions, answered those, you go all the way through the presentation, they don't get excited, and at the end of it they go, what do you want? And you miss the magic. Now you got to try and repeat yourself, but it's too late. Too much time has passed. So immediately we want to answer these questions. And the questions everyone asks is like, if you've ever been around an elderly person when the phone rings, they ask these questions out loud, but the phone goes, they go, who's that? Like, and then the next thing is like, what do they want? And then why are they calling me? So they ask these stupid questions, which is the who, what, and why. So we got to make sure we cover these off. When all those questions are answered, then they're going to be like ready to listen to what you got to say. And at this point, they kind of meet at this, and we have this connection. So when we hit the connection, I like to use a control question, which lets me know that I've made that connection. So I look people in the eye, I'm like, hey, how are you? Look, it's nothing serious. My name's Boyd, we're just calling around about the security in the area, speaking to all your neighbours today. And I go for the control question. I look in the eye and say, how's your day so far? It's good? Okay, so all we're doing is actually checking with the neighbours to raise that level of security. But I've asked if I've got control. Once they've said yes, I know it's connected. Now I'm in control of their excitement. We can move to the presentation. And the presentations when I'm going to try and impulse them to raise the excitement. I'm going to start using things to build their greed, their desire to listen to me or let me in the home. I'm explaining we're doing a free survey. I'm telling them it won't take a lot of time. I'm telling them that we're going to be able to provide some equipment for you. We're going to raise the security. And as I say all these things, what's happening with the customer is their excitement goes up. Does that make sense? Once the excitement's up, the impulse curve has a time where it's going to drop. So I got to make sure that I close while the excitement's high, not too low. Does this make sense? And we've all experienced this. You would have gone, hey, let's go to some club, and you go outside the club and you're all fired up and you wait 10 minutes. And like 15 minutes in, you're like, fuck it, let's go home and read a book. Like, if it hasn't happened in time, we just lose excitement for it. We all do that. So the same thing with the customer. We get them excited that they meet us, they're keen, that this guy's cool. But if you don't close and go in the house fast enough, then the customer's going to lose excitement. Does that make sense? Yeah. They're going to ask you some questions. So when they're above this line, when they go above this line, we call this green light zone. So when they're above that, they'll show green lights, like buying signals. So like, I'm interested. Some of these buying signals are, they'll open the door. So they'll open the door, they'll remove their kids, they remove distractions, they can hear you, maybe they hang up the phone. They're going to start asking you questions. Anytime they show interest, it's just because they're above the close. When there's a green light, you must close. And a close means asking to go inside the house. It's like, you know what, there's 2 seconds, I'll show you inside. Do you want my shoes on or off? I take my shoes off, I go in. I'm like, it'll literally take a minute. If you want, I'll just write it out for you inside. Is there somewhere I can leave? I must close. If I don't close in time, when I attempt to close, once it's come back down, you just crash and burn. And it's just over. It's like, you have good rapport, everything's going really well, like we're on the door, we're chatting, I think I'm doing good. If I leave it too long, at the point I say, you know what, you want my shoes on or off? They go, I'm not interested. It just ends abruptly. So whenever you close too late, you're just going to crash. So if you get this weird feeling in the field where you think everything's going good, but people are just slamming you, you're missing the impulse. Start to close earlier than you are. Now, a couple of the things that kill excitement on the door is if they ask me questions, I don't answer them. So the question itself is raising curiosity and raising interest in the customer. So Dylan starts asking me questions about the alarm.
Yeah, how much is it?
You know what I'm going to do is I'll explain everything inside and I'll do your survey for free. Do you want my shoes on or off? I don't answer the question. That's him saying I'm interested. If I answer the question, he'll say thanks. Does that make sense? Now once I'm inside the house, because I've closed with victory, we can go in, I can start the presentation inside the house. Some word on closing if I try to close before it's high, it will not hurt myself. So if I try to close early, he'll just give me an objection. I can handle the objection and I can close again. You can never close too soon. You can close 3 or 4 times on the way up. The second you're up, you'll go in. But if you're timid and you don't try and close, and you close here, it's a crash and burn. So what happens with a lot of people when we're new is we try to explain everything, and then we just kill the excitement. Does that make sense?
Yep.
My goal is just get in there quick. If you don't know what to say nothing. Just ask to go in all the time. And like if you do that, some of them you'll win. Any questions on this? Once you're inside, we do the presentation. So again, the presentation, because as we go back inside, the impulse immediately drops because they're like, wow, I've let this guy in my house. And there's the drop of excitement. So my goal in the presentation now is to get this back up in the shortest period of time possible, and we use things like building rapport. So I'm going to start talking to them, I'll relate to them, I'll compliment their kids, their pets, their possessions, and just really polite and make them feel good about the choices they've made in life. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Only a few minutes building rapport. I want to take my coat off so I'm into my shirt. So the quicker I can go into relax, so we do rapport, relax, relate. That's the goal inside the house. Build some rapport, get my coat off, take my shoes off, so I'm inside my shirt, like I'm inside the house, I look like a friend. I want to relate to them, so to relate to them I want to get them sat down somewhere in the house, and I want to sit next to them in like friend zone. If it's opposite, you're like eye to eye, it's like a wolf praying down its dinner, it's going to feel really uncomfortable for the customer, not where you want to be. You're selling an alarm system which is like welcome them aboard the ADT family where they're going to be like relaxed and comfortable with us. So I want to sit next to them, get the presenter, we both look at the book together and we talk. And the presentation, despite maybe what some of you are seeing, a presentation needs visuals. And it means we have a presenter, you show some of the visuals, you just do some little drawings on a notepad. We live in a world where everyone was raised by TV, so most people see the world in pictures and vision. So if we're just talking to them and they don't get the visuals, we're going to win. This very presentation needs this diagram. The audio itself, you'd all be lost and switched off and not interested. So the picture raises your impulse. Make sense? Without this, this wouldn't work. So the same inside the customer's house. Without the presentation, the chance of me raising the impulse again is really slim. And all I want to do is re-raise the impulse and close. Once I've closed, once I think they're excited, I'm going to close. Okay, so we both agree it's a great idea. Chris, when do you want to install it, AM or PM?
AM.
AM. Okay, let's get the paperwork sorted out now and we'll get that set up for you. I start filling out the form. That brings me to 4. This means we've closed the deal. Now, we can't stop on the close. We want to get paid. The difference between our marketing group and every other type of marketing in the world, we get paid by alarms that install into the home. So what we guarantee our client is the customers we bring on board will stay. So what happens to the impulse, if it's at this level, over time, we've got 7 to 14 days before the alarm gets installed. We want the customer to stay excited about the alarm system, to stay happy about their choice. So we use a 5th step, which is a consolidation. It guarantees actions taken. So how we do this, we'll show you what happens if you don't do it first. If we don't consolidate, we leave a question or something unanswered, which is a tiny piece of fear, that they don't know something, uncertainty. Well, if anyone's seen that movie, you know, where there's a bomb and it's ticking down 10, 9, 8, and the guy has to cut the wire, that's using fear of loss. There's like this time losing, so you have to make a decision quick. Well, if I haven't answered this fear, as we approach the 7 days or the 14 days, I can't cancel past 7 days. I'm like, well, I wonder if they're worried about maybe the sensor will pick up their cat or not because you've not explained it. They're going, I've only got 6 days to find out if my cat will set that off. And it's like, I've only got 5 days to find out if my cat will set it off. It's like, shit, there's only 2 days left. When it gets to 2 days, it's like, have it or don't have it. So what happens as the time starts to go down, the fear gets bigger. And the fear gets so big that it crashes the excitement. They have no choice but to cancel because they don't want to be stuck with an alarm the pet keeps sending off. Does that make sense? So my goal in the consolidation is the second I've closed the deal, is I stay exactly as I am in the friend zone, sat next to them. I fill out the paperwork, I don't celebrate, and I finish it and I look them in the eye and say, so Laura, I'm very pleased you'll be excited about the alarm system. I want to thank you so much for choosing ADT to protect your family. So compliment them. I thank them on behalf of ADT. I thank them on behalf of myself. Laura, I want to thank you for letting me in your home. It was a pleasure meeting you. You made my stay so welcome. Really appreciate that. I answer that. And then I don't ask them if they have questions, because I always get a no. I say, okay, Laura, at this point, you've definitely got a few questions or a couple of things maybe I've not explained clear enough. What do I need to re-explain, or what question do you have right now? So I've preempted that she wants to say no, but what do you have? What questions? And she'll have one or two. And they might be insignificant to us. It may have been like tiny, like who changes the battery, or. And then I just remove that fear. If I remove the fear, 100% happy customer. Does that make sense? And that's the one thing that no other type of marketing can do. Internet, online, over the phone, nowhere else can relax you after the sale, can just look you in the eye, relax you, and just say, hey, look, while I'm here, what questions do you have? And then re-go through it. Now, another reason I like to close early is because sometimes I'll close the plus package and I might not even tell them about the smoke alarm. So once I finish the close, I can say, hey, Laura, and another thing that's really great about the alarm system, not only do you get the sensors and the intrusion, but it's going to be set up to the fire brigade too. So if there was ever a fire inside the house, the alarm system will go off. It will ring you. If you can't answer your home phone within the time, they'll dispatch a fire brigade to come out and make sure there's no problem. And the fire brigade is super excited to come every single time because, you know, they'd rather come out and see a loss of life. So you got that for free on top as well. How excited is she? She's getting things for extra. So holding back some of the information to give them like a bonus at the end, she's like, holy shit. So at the point where normally there's no more excitement, I can get another spike of excitement. Does that make sense? Because I gave her extra for free. Any questions on the psychology? It's super simple. If you use the same pitch, you'll get exactly the same impulse with every customer that's a yes. Customers that are no, they're going to go different ways. But every yes follows this curve. If you use the high roller's pitch, every person you speak to that's a yes will be this. Any questions on that? Dylan, cameraman. This is why I need you to hold it. This is going to be a really shit video to watch.